the last game of the day. Mammoth versus the Bombers. I don't know who the Bombers are playing. It's on my sheet in front of me.
Yep.
But I'm not looking.
I can read it out to you.
No, don't do that.
All right, it's a surprise.
It'll be a surprise. But Mammoth currently sitting top dogs on the ladder. I don't believe they can lose that today. No, because they have head-to-head over everyone, so they can be tied on points if they do lose this game, right? With the Dire Cubs who picked up a victory, so they could be both sitting on 8-2. But of course, Mammoth have that head-to-head, but certainly very important game for them tracking onto the later stage of this season.
Yeah, I believe if they win this one, they secure that #1 seed because of said tiebreakers. Like they would, because they have that over their opponents. So yeah, win, and you are the #1 team. So definitely a lot for them to play for. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Bombers, they're in that bubble zone.
Yep.
They're playing for survival right now, and it is a tough mountain to climb when you're going up against the top of the ladder.
Yeah, certainly is. They're sitting on 5 wins, 4 losses right now. Definitely want to be kind of putting some distance between everybody else in the middle section, the amalgamation, we can say, of the middle of the ladder where everybody is just fighting for those last remaining spots. Was just told on my ear, Bombers can't lose No, Bombers. Mammoth can't lose first place, but Bombers can lose their first 3 bands for... Late roster submission.
Late roster, I'm assuming.
I wasn't actually fishing for the reason. I was going to say for like how many times in a row, because I feel like Bombers have done this so many times this season. But who knows? They are on red side, of course, so I think not... Well, actually, we have that conversation every time. But probably in this meta, a little bit more punishing. Don't have the last laugh. Well, you do have the last laugh on the red side. But yeah, it will be interesting. A tough opponent to lose bans against. I feel like, especially given like this is the first set of competitive games we're seeing on 9-13 in the OCS. Like the meta isn't cemented by any means. And Mammoth are a team that is not only very good by being the first place team, they're also like pretty flexible. I feel like a bunch of those guys, like specifically like Redemp's picking up champions like Kiana, I don't see that being a problem at all.
Yeah, I definitely feel the Bombers have been, I agree with you, they've been flexible. They've also, as a result, sometimes I feel they've been inconsistent. Like the start of the split, they did lose the first 3 in a row, then their roster changed and they looked really good, and then in recent times their rosters kind of changed again and they've kind of started to dip a bit. I was just sort of looking at their tie breaks actually at the moment down here, and sort of where we're headed right now, there's a possibility of a nice 3-way tie for that like last 6th place spot between Gravitas, Chiefs, and Bombers.
Okay.
And if that happens, we will be seeing tiebreak day because they're all 1-1-1 apiece.
But, oh yeah, because there's no like delineation between all the teams. Yeah.
Yes, but for that to happen, Bombers need to win this game. If they lose this, they're actually in a very kind of dire situation because they will be a game down from that 6th place spot where both Gravitas and Chiefs will be.
Yep.
And looking at the future matchups as well, Gravitas has Mammoth, so that's kind of spooky for them. But Chiefs have Order.
kind of spooky. Describing a matchup as kind of spooky is real funny. I like that.
But yeah, the Chiefs have to Order, though, so the Chiefs are looking really good.
They got an easier run home, and that's like super important when you get to the end of the season, like looking at who you have played and who you have left. Incredibly impactful. I do want to shout out also as well, Isles currently hit rank 1 on the solo queue ladder as a support man. That's PogChamp. I like that.
As a support?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Big fan. Played very well in the OPL, subbing in for AV, now coming back into the OCS. See if he can continue his team's form into first place, tracking into this one. So Seb in the jungle, Bushy in mid lane, Zenk and Blind Turkey returning to the bottom side of the map here for Bombers. Mordekaiser gets banned away, of course, as Bombers lose theirs. Mammoth are kind of like, yeah, we don't want that one on the Rift, so does make a lot of sense.
It's always good when you're going up against a team with bans if you have that first pick, because that does mean Mammoth can get any champion that they want for that #1 spot.
Literally anything. It is only the first 3, not all 5, so they get the second phase. It's almost comical how many times this has happened. Not specifically to Bombers, but like, I mean, I feel like it's happened a couple of times to them, but just like over the course of the season.
I feel like there's one game. There's one game a week.
Yeah, there's always one.
There's always one. And you just have to shake your head and just sigh gently.
And there was also like the hella disconnects, and I was blaming Seb, but I think it was Frey last time. And now Frey isn't on the lineup. We were given, actually, he was meant to be playing today, so actual last-minute sub here for Bushy Boo Boo coming through is possibly the reason to them not having any bans here today. Mordekaiser, of course, was the first ban, as I mentioned, but Karma's going to be near the bench as well. Mammoth have their last decision to make before they lock in whatever the hell they please.
Okay, so let's give you this choice. Who would you take out of every single champion? Where do you put that priority right now if it's not the Mordekaiser?
Oh, like just straight blind?
Yep.
I think Aurelia gone, like it could have been something like the Sejuani, but maybe the Sylas, the Lux. I'm blanking on like the first pick champions. I don't think it's Sylas or it's Lux. There's one that I can't remember. It is...
Aatrox?
No, absolutely not. It's definitely not the Aatrox. It could be Sylas, it could be Lux, it could be, like, both of those are okay. Yuumi, absolutely not. Karma is banned away. That would definitely be a goodie. Okay,
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, it will be the Aatrox.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, by the way.
Absolutely not.
I'm surprised.
That's 1 for me. I haven't kept count for yours, but I'm just going to assume it's 0.
Yeah, okay. What about that time you said boosh? Where does that go on the scoreboard?
2 for me.
Yeah, okay, sure. Sick. That's how this works.
That is how the...
Yeah, Aatrox is locked in. Interesting
Sejuani.
choice there, but yeah. Obviously
Sejuani will be picked in response. I
confident.
like the Sedge pick. That's very safe. Very good engage. Can build around it. Pretty much any mid laner with any sort of kill pressure is like
It's like a high
rubbing
medium.
their hands, getting ready. Nautilus as well.
Yeah, okay, so interesting. I like the Nautilus. I think it is as much a takeaway as it is just a pick up there for Blind Turkey. That was a very quick response in the Lux. This is a matchup where a lot of people favor the Nautilus. A lot of people just happy to play the Lux anyway because she's good. So I was obviously in that camp, looks at the matchup and is like, yes, laning phase, I don't have the priority. Like, he has hook threat and has kill threat, but I want to be able to play the matchup out and get towards that mid game.
Was
Lux,
Sylas who you were thinking
Sylas,
of?
yeah.
Was he who you were thinking of?
No, because
before?
I was saying Sylas. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not Sylas, it's not Lux, but
I'm super curious who you think it is.
I actually don't know. It's been a long day, and I've melted.
Last game.
Last game. We made it.
Azir.
Yeah.
Insta locked in by Bushy Boo Boo, so Bombers. Very interesting team composition going on right now.
Yeah.
A lot of movement.
Heavy front line already with an Azir comp. Like, they can kind of lock in anything they want on the bottom side and just have a very strong front to back already, just given what they've locked in. And it also, like, doesn't lock them in the most to anything. They are still reasonably flexible, I think, given that they have proactivity in the bottom lane. It's not like they have to play super hard, like Sivir Braum scaling with an Azir and all in on that style of comp. On the other side, Mammoth have the complete opposite. They're just entirely flexible. Aatrox locked in, Sylas locked in. I expect to be in the hands of Kevy. It's interesting now, given the changes to Sylas, because Bushy was like the come in, off-roll, give me Sylas guy. Yep. This is now an Azir locked in, which is a
bit of a surprise.
Different one.
Poppy going to be banned away. I'm actually really curious if Caitlyn gets banned away right now, because when you're looking at these teams, I feel like you want that Caitlyn Lux on Mammoth. That's a strong lane. Caitlyn also fits as well for the Bomber side, and they get that first pick. So does that force Mammoth to actually ban away the Caitlyn?
Is an option. I think there are enough options open that you don't have to. Like, it wouldn't be a bad ban by any means. Like, second phase bans are much more difficult to predict at times and much easier to predict at times. Like, if you have, like, very specific matchups where it's like you've taken a blind, like, Azir matchup, like Syndra always happens, whereas, like, other things can just be, like, based on champion pools. You don't know how deep they run for each player. On a new patch, you come into a competitive cycle, and it's just like, we don't know what people have been scrimming behind the scenes. Like, yes, you can look like in solo queue, yada yada, but there's always kind of that level of mystery involved.
Front to back, Sivir comp. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes too much sense right there.
They lock it in. Yeah, they do. Okay. So, doing one thing. Scaling up.
Yep. Scale it up.
Hardcore scaling up. We've
Bounce
got
the
wave clear,
blades.
got the range. That would be an interesting lock-in. Would do well into the Sivir, but also the Caitlyn would.
Yep, Caitlyn I think would make more sense.
That wouldn't. That would really suck, personally.
I want to see it. I want to see the Quinn.
That'd be really just not good.
Actually, it looks like
IMO.
Ezreal.
Ah.
Okay. That's a safe pick.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too afraid to lock in the Caitlyn. And it's not like afraid of the matchup, it's afraid of their ease of force, right? It's like, we talk about momentum, you have to keep that thing rolling, whereas they have a Sivir, a Nautilus, a Sejuani. If they like want to get on top of you, really they kind of can. Yeah. At a certain point, you give Nautilus enough move speed and you can't miss your ulti, it's a point and click CC. So they do lock that one in. Talia last lock-in is interesting. I expect it's going to be the answer to Azir in the mid lane.
Will be, but with... Okay, Ahri, I'm assuming, is not what's going to be locked in right now. I'm curious where they go. Kled!
Ooh.
You have to have some spice. In every game, something's got to be thrown out there.
Yeah,
And this time
okay.
it'll be the Kled.
Not unheard of, certainly. Have seen it before. But if you look at Bombers comp and just how it all worked together, they have double, like, speed the team ultimates right now. On the hunt, they have charge. Everybody is going front to back, and they have that, like, delineation of you are the front line, Sivarazir will be sitting behind, stand behind the Emperor's Divide, and that is exactly how you want to fight. And Mammoth are doing the complete opposite, right? It's these flanking champions. Talia wants to push a side lane, wants to weave his wall in. Aatrox do the same thing as the Silas. They just get access to the backline and look to blow people up. So really contrasting decisions and contrasting compositions these two have locked in for the last game of the day here. Yeah,
it definitely will be fun to see whether or not Kevy and Redemps can get to Zank as Bushy Boo Boo in this one. That is such a hard front line to crack through, though, so I feel it's definitely going to come from the odd angles. As per usual, Vision's probably going to be super important, so I am going to be watching Kevy with a keen eye and seeing what he can do from the jungle. This is definitely going to be a fun game, because when you see a team composition like Bombers, you always know these team fights are going to be explosive and, like, really good to watch.
Also at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Right? It really doesn't take, like, mispositioning in League of Legends, like, isn't a definite term, right? Like, in every single game, it's a different distance, right? This comp punishes you immediately. If they think you misstepped, there is so much movement speed for everybody involved to be able to close that gap and lock you down.
I've heard it described before as different ways to push the go button. And there are a lot of big old red go buttons right there.
Love a go
for
button.
the Bombers.
I am definitely a go button League of Legends player.
So
Alistar has the fattest go button. So easy to push.
See, I've always been a fan of the Nautilus go button, actually, which makes me happy because he's going to be in this game.
Okay. I've actually never been able to play Nautilus well.
Okay.
My entire career, I was just a crappy Nautilus.
See, my whole issue is whenever I play Nautilus, I push the go button a bit too much because I'm like, I'm a tank, I can survive, let's go. And then my team is like, we can't follow you. And
that's my problem, is that Nautilus is this, I swear to God, like there's something about him that makes him the squishiest tank in the game. And I don't know what it is. I've like, you know when like champions click?
Yeah.
He's never clicked. I've never had the click. Blind Turkey, hope he's had the click. And I think he certainly has. He's like a big Nautilus guy. Has been for years. Nautilus Thresh probably his go-to, I expect. But we'll see how he tracks in this one. No leash for the Silas on the Mammoth side. They just want lane priority immediately. And honestly, like that decision, Civ and Nautilus, once they shove you in, have all the proactivity, and as the Civ, can just keep shoving you in. So getting access to early priority can kind of allow you to keep it for much longer than the isolated 2v2 matchup should allow.
And especially against a Sejuani jungle as well, you feel like you have a bit more flexibility to make the play like this because it's very unlikely that Seb will be going to that bot side in order to punish that sort of move. So smart decision making out of Mammoth. That said, Kevy, you know, doesn't mean the healthiest clear for him, so we might not be seeing a lot of aggression coming out of Kevy in the early stages.
Yeah, now has his red, so has access to a little bit of that regen and smited fairly late, but will be ultimately fine. I feel like the top matchup is potentially going to be one of the spiciest. If bottom lane like plays the matchup how it should sort of thing and they play respectful, I can see nothing happening, but top side is incredibly volatile, especially when you add like a melee bruiser. Aurelia is like the peak, but Kled certainly serviceable with the Sejuani. You lock that one down. Seb has been very vocal in the past of just loving to play this champion, so sure may have taken some convincing for him to lock it in, but they certainly pack a punch together.
As we're seeing already at the start right now, there was a pretty quick recall actually out of Kevy, going ahead and finishing his skirmisher blade before continuing that jungle. So it would have potentially opened a door for Seb, but with Shore actually kind of shoving Redemps in right now, it furthers this idea that I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of Seb action early in this game.
Yeah. A lot of it to do with the changes in timing for the Crab. So one side clear into reset means he gets exactly there, basically, like as it spawns, and now he has Skirmishing Smite versus a Hunter's Talisman. There's no way the Sejuani ever wants to contest like a 1v1, let alone when you put the item disadvantage in, so if Bushy doesn't steal this randomly, then we expect Kevy to kind of control whatever he wants right now. Halo getting ambitious, misses the flip.
Misses the flip, but gets a lot of damage down onto Bushy, who has to go ahead and use one of his health bots, a Corrupting Potion used as well.
Super smart pathing here for Kevy. Gets himself behind the Kled, already with a red buff. Dashed over the back end of the wall. You heard that tick of the chat. He was probably pinging his E cooldown right now, and Shaw knows what's
Shore's
happening.
in trouble.
Flash forward.
By Redempts is used. Shore trying to get away. Burns the flash as well, but Kevy might look for this tower dive. He has a flash of his own as well. The red buff, but cannot connect. And the tower with the minions give first blood over to Shore.
What the hell was that? That was the perfect gank setup. Wraps around behind, but held onto the E for way too long. Closed the gap, but allowed Shaw to get into the minion wave. E2 denies himself access, and all of a sudden Seb on the Sejuani is up in CS, counter jungling away from the Sylas. Top lane has been gifted a red buff in what was looking to be a fairly difficult matchup. Wave shoving towards his opponent, and big blunder there from Kevy.
It's not just any top laner with a red buff as well. It's a Kled with a red buff,
so
and that
obnoxious.
is going to be really tough for Redempts to handle, especially without flash as well. I feel as
true, because he started it off by committing his flash.
So Redempts actually might be in a world of hurt as we approach level 6 from these junglers.
His lane just got kamikaze. That's so funny. As the day's gone on, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just sitting in like, damn, that's just, it's just sometimes
pour out that bottle of wine for the top lane right now.
That just hurts. You know, like everybody makes the mistake. Very nicely played there from Isles. W's his 80 carries so that the damage doesn't actually tick through on the HP bar, so it doesn't cancel the recall. Quick little tip for any support main out there. Big on Rakan as well. If your Xayah is recalling, you can hit it with the E, and when like a Morgana pull goes underneath, you actually go through with the recall anyway.
Seb is already looking at Redempts. That red buff is still there on Shore. This feels like a very ambitious play, though.
Yeah, I think Shaw may have just given it away there. Stepped up kind of weirdly out of character. Does blow Bear Trap on a rope to try and bait in Redempts, but...
I think you would have seen the...
Oh, no, you actually can't see that.
Oh, you can't see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We see it because of Spectank Client.
Yeah, okay, so they cannot see that. So that's good to know.
That would be... That'd just be the worst thing. That's like Fiddlesticks tier. Back when he had his Terrify passive and you knew he was in a bush because you got the passive on you.
Well, Shore goes in right as Seb turns away, so not going to happen. Good patience from Seb, but no opportunity to be had.
Yeah. If the Sedge was level 6, then that could have been looked at, because you can hard force and Sedge can influence the play without being in melee range. Would give access to Kled, like enough CC to lock her down and be able to close that gap. But unfortunately, only level 5 so far, so fished for it, but unable to find it.
Does Seb get there off of Krugs, though? Because Seb has opted for the Krugs, and nope, not quite there yet. So unfortunately, this has given a lot of time actually for Kevy on the opposite side of the map to get a lot of vision control around that Infernal Dragon. Has some help as well coming from Halo. I'm curious if they go for it.
Yeah, the big thing is that Seb didn't ding level 6, yes, but he did see the Sylas clearing vision at the top side. So immediately he wraps around behind, sweeps the bush, and is just begging Shaw to push this wave in underneath the turret right now. Weaver's Wall is available from Halo to counter what would have been the dive, but Shaw struggling to get this wave in, I expect, without blowing all of his cooldowns. He would have needed them for the dive, so may end up just being the reset. Seb expends a bunch of time up here, but... Oh, he sticks around, actually, so that's the Qs coming out from Redempts. No cooldown available.
Here he comes, Seb looking for it. Redempts playing around that tower. The engage comes down. Not really as much damage as they were looking for. Redempts trying to buy as much time.
Oh!
The flash is not enough for the save as he's pulled back in. Redempts gets one back.
Just don't go top. If you're a jungler, don't go top. It sucks up there. Everybody dies.
Shore is not in a good place. Halo stepping forward.
Does he mount?
But does not get the mount, so the kill will be secured.
Yeah, Redempts hits him with a snipe and was desperately close to getting Skull back. Unfortunately, not going to be the case. Oh, God, you just...
Top lane's not a good time.
Ganking top, no bueno. Just don't do it. Leave them alone. Top laners suck. We all know it. Nobody wants to go up there. Nobody likes playing that role. Just leave them on their island.
I'm just pouring out the other bottle of wine now, just for top lane in general. It's just...
The liquor cabinet is empty.
Liquor cabinet is empty. Top lane.
There's nothing left.
Not a good time for anyone at all. I want to see these junglers focus their attention, maybe more on this bot side, maybe more around this Infernal Drake, which has been standing.
Yeah, and it's all just a joke, right? Like, of course, like that is where they should be going, but it just sucks. Zenk
going very aggressive right now. Miasma taking a nice chunk of damage. Have to be wary of mana bars at this stage. Miasma's
Oh,
actually
Isles.
quite low. Dredge line does connect, but the target will be switched to Isles. Here comes the teleport coming down. That is Redempts looking to turn around. Ultimate out of sync to try and escape. Halo is here as well. Weaver's Wall not available, so it won't be used, but Blind Turkey in a lot of trouble. Gets sniped by the True Shot Barrage.
And we have seen some very good, I call them spooning plays from OCS teams tonight, where you just spoon the opponents in, you know they're looking for the engage, you bait them that little bit further. TP comes down, Redempts answers immediately, and Blind Turkey, after burning the flash, already falls down. Very well played there from the Mammoth bottom lane. Communication on point, timing is there, and Bombers bottom side do get punished. Heavy, being a nuisance, stops the recall of the Azir.
Stops the recall, but not really going to look for much more. Shore had made his way down to mid lane. It's probably going to help shove this in, maybe try and get a plating or two, but Halo has stuck around, so won't be able to clear it. Instead, the target is that Infernal Drake.
Yeah, super high priority. He's going to get taken down, as you mentioned, wandering from top side. Shore's TP is going to come up in the next about 30 seconds, so probably has about a 4-minute window to play with TP priority, which for a Kled, actually super useful, right? Like his turret's still fairly healthy, doesn't have to TP immediately to the action just based on the gap close of his ulti, so can influence things from a reasonably far distance away. Heavy may just have a very nice read here, and Shore is going to spot it out. He knows the blue timing, and he knows how desperately Azir wants to lock that one down, so starts up the Rift Herald on the other side of the map.
Yeah, but it doesn't appear there will be a reaction out of the Bombers Academy this time around, so that will be Rift Herald most likely secured without dramas for Mammoth. And with that, I feel maybe Mammoth will probably try to take that into the mid lane, I would assume.
Yeah, breaking Azir's turret is the most valuable. I'm surprised that it wasn't like, yes, we know they're doing Rift Herald, but we can't do anything about it, and Bombers are just like, okay, like I'm Seb, give him blue, push in mid, walk bot, and just opt in for the dive, right? Like you have TP advantage, you have the Kled, you have the Sivir ulti, so Nautilus will always land something, but they didn't opt in for it, so did just trade the blue handoff for that Rift Herald, and definitely not a good one right now. Mammoth continuing this lead, going to give a bunch of this gold to Redempts at minimum. Can they break the turret with the rotation of Halo?
I believe
pretty likely.
A bit. Shore is getting jumped on meanwhile by Kevy, has to retreat, and with a lot of the Mammoth boys around, this tower will most likely fall, but here comes the re-engage. Seb following up with the Glacial Prism, gets a big connection onto Halo. Redempto gets the flake onto Seb, and Shore's on his own, tries to get over the wall, but Halo should be able to run him down. Meanwhile, up above, Redempts trying to stick onto Seb. Halo also making the retreat over the wall, but that is not the direction usually you're going to stay alive. He's able to push him back up above. Redempts is able to get that kill. And that will end things for now, perhaps. Yeah, Redempts still looking for it. Here comes the Weaver wall, but Halo so low, it does not matter. Redempts knocks him down.
And Bushy tried to get everything, leaves his jungler alone, chases the Tilliar, unable to find the kill, and everybody eventually falls down. It is just going to be the 3-for-1. Silas fell earlier, but that's a binding. It's also a very nice spell shield.
Very nice spell shield, but it
go.
doesn't matter. The Foul Spark did a lot. Here comes the depth charges. It forces out the use of the stopwatch, but with the teleport out of Shore, Miasma's in a lot of trouble trying to flash away. Dredge line connects, but where is this Kled? He is not needed. Miasma does fall. Isles on the run. Shore makes himself known. They're going under the tower, but Kevy is here. A great double Luminous Bind from Isles. Turns things back around on Zink. Down goes the Sivir. Shore as well loses Scarl and will not be able to get out. This one might have the damage to turn back on the Kevy, but does not be able to do so. Shore still alive. One more auto will bring him down. He's still walking away. Blind Turkey dropping some dredge and gets out of there. Shore possibly getting out. Kevy's still looking for it. That Shotgun Blast doesn't quite get there. They know where he is, and finally they find him. The kill comes down, but they burn a teleport.
Yeah, Miasma gets himself back to the lane. They want to keep pushing this lead.
Oh, Seb
may be in a bit of trouble.
Seb may be in trouble. He has to flash over the wall.
So gets himself to safety. Shore has had an unfortunate game. He has been like the tiniest away from remounting onto Scar multiple times. Now sitting 1 and 3. Unfortunately, after starting the lane phase off with a red buff, so not what you expected, but Mammoth, very nice answer on the bottom side. The 2v2 played it incredibly well to buy enough time. Kevy walking out of base, starts his golems, then makes his way to the play. Isles with root after root, kind of dissuading all of the pressure coming out of the trio of Kled, Sivir, Nautilus.
Yeah, definitely, and in response as well to Shore having that kind of bad luck, Redempts has been the beneficiary of a lot of good kills at this stage. Yeah, he is 4-0-2 already on this Aatrox, And against, Shore, who's been having this rough time, I feel like Mammoth has now won the side lane. And with that, I see a lot of good things off of the mobility as well from their team composition. I feel they have the ability to react essentially anywhere on the map.
Yeah. Certainly is. Gold lead also like 4,000 in their favor. Isles wasn't spotted. That landed.
That
no
did land.
flick,
Bushy
though.
Boo Boo should be able to shuffle away to safety as Redemption was spotted on that ward. So I think Bushy knew time to get out and get out now.
Yes. The light binding hits you. It's definitely skedaddle territory. Interesting that all 5 members from Mammoth collapsed down temporarily, given that it is just an air dragon, but looked like just an opportunistic walk. Redemp's had nothing to do topside, pushed the wave in already. Given that he has taken down the turret for first brick, when he gets priority, does kind of go fairly deep into enemy territory.
This is a bad situation for Halo, though. Cut in between Short and Bushy Boo Boo, following over the wall with the flash. Short gets back on the board.
Yeah, very nice pick from the Kled. Wanders down, finds himself a Talia, gets the Summoner as well. Turrets in the mid lane, both still very healthy. Control mages in the Talia and the Azir, dealing with them incredibly well. That's an engage,
That's a
though.
big commit. Here comes the Dredge line. They're trying to get onto Miasma, but the Boomerang Blade actually misses. Blind Turkey has to flash out defensively, but there comes the re-engage. Depth
Flank is
charges.
here.
And the flank for Bushy Boo Boo might be too late, but the Glacial Prison does not connect. Isles just standing in front, forcing the Bombers away. They do not want this fight.
Yeah, and out, Mammoth have the best TPs in the league right now. Looking for the counter-attack. Heavy trying to close some of that gap, but unfortunately not able to pull through. The TP from Redemps means they do commit for this turret. Of course, first brick already gone. We're after 14 minutes, so no plates, but just want to trade something. Halo is given the deploy topside to defend their own.
I feel like in that fight, the Bombers were like a victim of the sunken cost fallacy. They blew both those ultimates, and they figured we have to take this fight now no matter what, even though it probably would be bad for them because of the teleports available, because of the flanks that could have happened.
It's just one of those weird situations where you win the rabbit hole, right? Like, they have more members coming. Like, it was a numbers advantage for minimum the time it takes to channel TP, and it hadn't started yet. But they needed to wait for the Azir and the Sejuani to land, because Silas was there first, so yes, they will win the 4 versus 3 at the end of the day, but because they just commit a little bit too hard initially, it's just a 3 versus 2 for Mammoth's favor. They turn around, they just fight them immediately, buy enough time for the TP to come through from Aatrox, and look at him on the scoreboard alone. It's like Black Cleaver, Death Stance almost completed. This guy is monstrous, and as soon as the Aatrox lands, Bush is just like, nah, bro. There's no way I'm hitting him, not dealing any damage, and him and Seb do just have to kind of walk away. So it's like, yeah, a little bit sunk cost. They've already committed to the play, but they just committed like slightly too early.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. That said, though, Mammoth wasn't able to get the Cloud Drake initially after that sort of skirmish. That said, again, though, Kevy is on it right now. So it does appear as if Mammoth will be picking up their first dragon on this one. No real response out of the Bombers right now. They're more concerned about protecting their lanes, or in Short's case, possibly getting away from this very large Aatrox. Gets rid of Scarl, but the rest of the Bombers are on the way. Shore, though, in a lot of trouble, has to flash, but the final spark does not connect. Redempts now is in a lot of trouble. They're turning it back around on this Aatrox, who's staying alive for so long, he won't be able to find the kill as the dragon is secured.
700 gold shutdown gets handed over for the first time. Shore remounts onto Scarl. Isles is just wandering around everywhere.
He was in front of the bush, but Kevy jumps out of it. The dredge line should be used as disengage. Isles potentially looking to go after it some more. Meanwhile, in mid lane, here comes the tower siege. Halo shouldn't be able to push it down.
What do you call that? What was that maneuver that Isles just pulled? Because that's like that's galaxy brain nonsense. He's just a Lux zooming outside the bush. Blind Turk is like, oh hello. Kevy lying in wait.
I feel as if he was getting blocked from running into the bush.
Yeah, like you're getting like champion blocked by the Silas.
Exactly. Like, yeah, Kevy was just like, you're the bait, just stand there, just pushing him out. No, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
That just looked like it was just too whack. It just looked slightly too weird.
Oh, Halo is in a bit of
Penny
trouble.
ulti out.
Dropping that ultimate a bit too early, and the Weaver's Wall will get Halo out safely. I feel as if Zink should have held on a little bit before using that ultimate and maybe caught Blind Turkey with it as well.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those weird scenarios. They needed to close enough gap to predict like the Weaver's Wall, because remember, there's no vision in the bush, right? So they don't know when he has cast it. You expect it to come through. He barely had enough mana, but if you can predict it with a Q, because it's not just CC that cancels it, it's any sort of damage, you can knock a Talia off. But unfortunately, couldn't close the gap. As you mentioned, blew the ulti, and Halo just kind of skirts away.
Said it's not the worst ulti to blow in this situation. We're not quite in crazy team fight down just yet where anything can happen as a drop in a hat. That's not going to come for another minute when Baron spawns. So by that stage, Jinx should have that R ability back up for use. Until then, though, content to just take it to the mid lane, continue trying to siege, try to get pressure where they can.
And with the outer ring basically completed, Sivir Azir are definitely wave clear goblins, and as you expect, Bombers are holding onto the mid lane outer turret very well. Has kind of slowed down the pace of the game here for Mammoth. They had this 4,000 gold lead at just about 12 minutes into this game, but have really struggled, especially after the shutdown on Redempt, to kind of leverage his lead in a side lane. It's very difficult with this mid turret still standing to hit an inner turret in the side lane just due to the...
Oh no! Zhang steps too far forward and just gets obliterated. The Wombo combo was in effect, and already Sivir is down. The mid tower will fall as well, and Mammoth, with Baron up in about 10 seconds, they might be looking towards that purple worm.
Yeah, incredibly valuable pick there onto Zenk. Yes, he has TP. In 20 seconds, he will be back on the map to contest this one, but as I was saying, it's so hard to attack the side lanes when mid turret is up, and they find the pick immediately, break down that turret, and everything is alleviated.
Glacial Prison was just picked up by Kevy as well, so Mammoth might be looking for yet another fight as the Bombers start pushing down that mid lane. Bushy will be the target. Prison does connect, and the follow-up damage is there. Bushy goes down.
Yeah, pick after pick here onto the Bombers. TP gets Zenk back into the action, but that was another one they needed. Seb and Shaw on the wrong side of the map right now, cut off by the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall, but Halo jumps onto the wrong side, so with that, the Bombers should escape, at least for now. Binding, connecting onto Blind Turkey, who will get dove upon right now. Redempt's unable to get too much follow-up damage, but under the tower things go. Seb not connecting with the Glacial Prison, and Blind Turkey actually does go down to Halo.
He commits seppuku on the tiles from Talia. Everything's just funny. What? That was a comedy of errors. Seb throws the ulti in between multiple members. He was looking for the Talia, very close to locking him down, and that could have been a completely different fight, but Blind Turkey wants the response, unfortunately. Just hits another rock.
Yeah, I mean, those rocks add up.
Yeah, they do.
And as you said before, Nautilus sometimes doesn't feel as tanky as...
Honestly, well, yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, he didn't proc his Aftershock. Like, that's where the tank stats come from. He has very high effective health because he has a shield, but, like, he's not that tanky in isolation, right? Like, he's a Relic Shield user, yes, but basically has base HP, has his Sidestone, and is working on resists. So, without the Aftershock, without the shield available, the effective HP, which is really what we talk about when we talk about tankiness, is actually fairly low, and when you are the defensive one, when you're not being the aggressor, is a little bit of a roughie. And I guess it's also like when you miss the hook. If the hook hits a champion and you go over the pebbles, that's an Aftershock proc. When it hits the wall, it's a real bad time.
Yeah, that, in a sense, it was a real bad time, but Bomber still potentially looking for a possible flank. Seb waiting in the wings, trying to find a way onto Miasma, but they're not going to find too much right now. Mammoth content to sort of spread the map out, get themselves another Cloud Trade. And at this stage as well, you can already see, you know, they have the vision around Baron. Teleports are available on Redempts. They could potentially start looking for this Baron quite early in this one.
Yeah, they've done very well to find themselves all of these picks, because like this 12-5 kill lead hasn't come out of major team fights. It's been a kill here, turns into a kill there, and they really do just snowball their vision further and further. Second Air Dragon, as you mentioned, gets added to the pile, but a few key items picked up. Leandri is now done for Halo. Miasma off the back end of that last fight also got his CDR boost. He gets half his Blade of the Ruin King. So he's working on his third item there, and Transform has come through for the Muramana, so Mammoth just getting exceedingly strong right now. 5,000, 6,000 gold is the lead. Bombers certainly do scale incredibly well, and in a team fight scenario, front to back, they are incredibly strong if they can find their buttons, but so far Mammoth have been able to split them apart very effectively.
I mean, there are still some good things going for the Bombers, I believe. You have the Eye Edge Essence Reaver completed onto Zinc right now. Warmogs onto Seb, so he can be a bit more push forward and then fall back and not have to fall all the way back. That's nice, but if we're looking, again, at gold advantage already over a 5K lead for Mammoth, over 20 minutes in. Maybe it's not as big as some of these other gold leads we've seen today, but it's still definitely significant, and it is still an uphill climb for this Bombers team.
Yeah, the hardest part is getting to this Baron, right? Like, actually taking it down. Ooh.
Good steal, though. He got the Glacial Prison, and I think that's what Kevy was after. So now Mammoth has that hard engage. They could be looking for this fight.
Yeah, certainly looking for it. They're not willing to just start off the Baron, because then you give Bombers the team fight, right? Like, they want numbers advantage, they want the control. The double air dragons, not the best, you prefer something else, but it means they do move very quickly through the jungle, and given how much vision control they've had, there's basically only a single ward underneath the Lux that is past, what, like their inhibs for Bombers right now, so vision is very hard to come by. Very difficult to dive, but they may have found Blind Turkey.
Yeah, Blind Turkey connected on with that Glacial Prison. He's unable to turn things around. That said, a return Glacial Prison actually coming down onto Miasma, but no follow-up damages there.
Is that enough for them to want to start off the Baron? Redemp's rotated over, but a single pick onto the support, maybe not enough to pull the trigger. Mid turret is the play, though. Ezreal W does work right now. Redemp's has a flank.
Redemp's has the flank. Bushy Boo is the target. They hold him in place for a bit, but he is able to escape, so the target changes to Sep. Quite low, held in place. Isles with that binding gets enough down in order to bring him down. Emperor's Divide throws Redemp's back, but Bushy Boo is so low and gets sniped by this Ezreal. Miasma coming up huge with the double kill. Sure, also will get down by Isles, and with that, that should be an inhibitor.
And clutch skill shots from the bottom lane. Double binding from Isles into back-to-back Mystic Shock from Miasma. May have just sealed this game. 30 seconds on the Azir, 30 seconds on the Kled.
Yeah.
They want the end.
They want to end this. Blind Turkey steps forward and immediately gets blown up. Miasma with a kill. Zank in trouble. He's the last one left. The Bombers get aced, and with that, Mammoth Academy will be securing the #1 seed going into the playoffs within the OCS.
Huge play here from them. Very, very strong game.
Seb won it. Seb, he's trying his best, but everyone is focusing that Nexus. It will eventually go down. He got the shutdown.
He gets something.
He got Kevy. Consolation prize.
He got something. I like Halo at the end. He literally just right-clicked the Nexus and took his hands off the keyboard. He's like a 0-mana Talia with 2 HP, just like flinging rocks at a Nexus. But yeah, super dominant performance. That game, like, at times it was a comedy of errors, right?
Yes.
Ganking top lane, no bueno. Like, you just die to a turret, it's not good. But back-to-back, I feel like, yeah, Mammoth, very strong performance. Once they had a significant lead, they just choked out Bombers, right? That was a clean close, and it didn't take a super long time. We saw a bunch of games today go, like, 38 minutes.
Yeah.
This was, like, pre-Baron. They didn't even get a Baron. Right? Like, they just set up, they got the team fight, they got another pick, and that was enough for the Nexus.
Yeah, that's like one of the first OCS games I remember seeing, actually, where the team has won without the use of the Baron.
Yeah.
They just recognized, you know, we're spiking now, we're getting the fights we want, let's just end it, and end it they did. I do have to say, yes, Mammoth had that one slip-up at the very, very start in the top lane.
Yeah.
But aside from that, yes, it was a comedy of errors, but a lot of the errors were coming from the Bombers. It wasn't really coming from the Mammoth side.
And I mean, like, with an error comes, like, a capitalization. I feel like today, like, so much from, like, support Luxes, we saw double bindings, we saw a bunch of Thresh played, and it was, like, all of these things, like, catching people off guard. Like, the mistake was always caught by the victorious team. And speaking of victorious teams, we'll bring up the results of what we saw here today. Started off with a bunch of red side. Legacy Chiefs, Dire Cubs, Order Academy take down all of their opponents, and Prox, the Tigers, Gravitas, and AV. And the last two ones we saw recently, bottom of the table clash, Union pick up the victory over UTS, still desperately trying to get their win. That game was, every box was being ticked. The Caitlyn, the Lux, they were getting on board, but unfortunately could not transition that lead into a meaningful advantage. And we just saw Mammoth Academy trounce the Bombers in a fairly quick one, I will say. And this is the ladder at the end of Week 10. Remember, there's a single week of regular season play to go. Week 11 is it. 12 teams in the league, each play each other once. And then we have a week reserved for tiebreakers. I'm not going to pretend I know all the situations right now. We'll take a look at them coming into next week, given today's games. But as you mentioned, Mammoth absolutely locked up there. Dire Cubs, the only team that can actually catch them on points, and they already have the head-to-head, so very nicely played. Good split overall by them. Dire Cubs second place. Legacy and Mprox third and fourth, sitting there. 7 wins, 3 losses. You have kind of the zone that everybody is fighting over, right? The Chiefs Academy, Gravitas, Bombers, Order, all of these guys sitting 6 and 5 wins. And then, unfortunately, the bottom of the table, Tigers, AV, Union, and UTS.
Yeah, it's definitely going to mean a very fun week next week. I'm specifically looking at some of the games lower.
Yeah, we'll bring them
that
up
are
on your
happening
screen.
now. Yeah, I want to see what these games are because I'm looking that one right there at the bottom. Chiefs versus Order.
Ah.
That could be a potential win and in game for both of these teams.
Yeah, okay. Super exciting. It does start off Legacy Genesis versus UTS. That is, of course, their last chance. The last bastion of hope. Still remains alive. UQ Union versus AV. Mprox Diacubs, as you were mentioning before, super interesting. Tigers versus Bombers. Now looking fairly even, I guess, as you tread onto the later stage of the season. Bombers losing Luch, maybe, to the OPL squad. Trickling down the ladder a little bit. Gravitas versus Mammoth, and also absolute banger there. Looking to get themselves into the playoffs, and Mammoth looking to retain their top spot. Of course, locked in there. And Chiefs versus Order, as you mentioned. Spicy one to round out the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's a potential win and in right there for both of those teams.
Yeah.
So Chiefs Order, definitely going to be a good one to watch. The other ones, Bombers, they need a win to stay alive. They're against QUT, so that's definitely possible. And Gravitas, like, they're also, like, on that bubble. If they win, they're in as well. But against Mammoth, they could find themselves in a tiebreak situation.
Yeah, super interesting. We'll have to see, like, what the tiebreakers do end up being, right? But yes, thank you for joining me here today, Max. See you bloody soon. But thank you all of you sitting at home. This has been the OCS. This has been week number 10. Tune in next week. We'll see you tomorrow for the OPL, but last regular season set of games. See you then.